Hi, my name's Adam Zane from Hope Theatre Company. We specialise in verbatim theatre, where we interview real people, transcribe those interviews, and then actors portray those real people. Everything you see on this video is based on interviews with real people, played by actors. Your relationship with health professionals is kind of like a marriage, like a relationship.
Equal them and equal you.
Even though at times you don't recognise it, you know your body better than they do.
It's accepting that what you say to the doctors is just as important as what they say to you.
They haven't walked the walk of having that disease, but you have.
You give your opinion, the doctor gives theirs. Your opinion is put on them and their opinion is put on you.
It's being able to discuss the options open to you. I find that quite easy, but not everybody does.
They have to be people first and foremost. On top of that, there has to be recognition that I actually am a person. They have to recognise that my cover may not necessarily be the content of my book.
What this means to me is creating a space for both people to be active in the conversation, to contribute, to learn together.
Well, when I've been given the opportunity to share my opinion of what I want, then the care has been better.
It made me feel like I was their property, like I belonged to them, like I couldn't do anything without their permission.
You are literally just a piece of meat. It's a horrible phraseology, but it's true. You think you're an object and not a person who is part of that care.
Continuity of care, it makes your journey a lot smoother because you don't have to explain yourself.
I think as well, you build up that relationship where they get to know you.
With regards to my aunt, she was a strong-willed person who had brought up 4 children and worked full-time. She wasn't a person who wanted to sit there in her 50s and be told this is what you have to do.
I have a good relationship with my GP, but I don't always get to see him. Like when I came out of hospital with pneumonia, I wanted to see my GP, but I had to fight to get to see him.
What a lot of people find difficult in the UK is having to see someone different depending on what's wrong with you.
If you have a long-term health condition, continuity of care is key to your ability to function.
It's about self-managing and communication.
I had a serious injury and years later I had cancer, and I work for the NHS, so I've seen both sides of it.
It's very much about looking at individuals and how we communicate.
Let's be honest, the NHS is a service industry. We are selling a service. In some cases it's a cure, in some cases rehabilitation, some cases it's bad news and it's how you communicate it.
I remember being in hospital and they started moving me from the bed to a chair, and whilst they were doing the lift my husband was beckoned in and they said to him, "Oh, great timing, this is what you're going to be doing." No conversation about can you do this lift, no conversation about do you want to do this lift, no conversation about do you want to be a carer. It's just assumed that I would be.
I found with long-term health conditions, there are peaks and troughs, so you need to learn how to manage your condition. You also need to have the confidence to challenge health professionals.
They were insisting on me having a certain type of catheter that I didn't want. So basically I told him that if he was to insert that catheter in me without me saying yes, that is an infringement on my human rights.
It's about communication on both sides.
I was told by the doctor, "Oh, we've got a smart-ass patient who knows her rights, have we?" So I just said to him, "I don't know if nobody's told you, but that's actually my job. That's what I do for the NHS." He went absolutely green.
How difficult is it to have a voice in your treatment when you're frightened about how people are going to react to who you are? How can I have full involvement in my treatment if I can't be who I am?
Probably the worst part, I get choked up about this now. The day of my operation, they came in and they said they wanted to have a personal conversation with me. They asked me, given the quality of my life, if something went wrong, would I want resuscitating? I just said, how dare you judge my quality of life against anyone else's? You don't know anything about me. I've got children. I've got this, I've got that. It's really strange.
It's remembering first and foremost that they are individual people with individual needs and wants.
Like everybody else in society, they are individuals who have feelings, who have a history, who have experiences and who have had traumas as well, and they come to you for help.
I might come up with an idea and think immediately, this is what I've got, and that's the worst thing in the world to do.
Self-diagnosis is difficult. You're either going to underreact or overreact.
I try to give a good history of facts, but also be open to discussion about other things.
If I was in that situation again, I think I would push more for the services that are out there. I wouldn't just take the first answer or first option. I'd make sure it was right for the person, be it myself or the person I was representing.
I would do my utmost to bring services together. I think some people can be a bit protective of their services, but yeah, I think collaboration, even if collaboration is frowned upon sometimes.
Ask as many questions as you want to, and if you're not happy, go and see someone else.
Try to write down the questions, because sometimes you get in there, you ask your first question and then your mind goes blank. At that point, you're in their hands and you're going along at their flow, and then you come out and realise you've got 5 questions you forgot to ask. It happens all the time.
Another piece of advice I'd give to any patient, if you're not feeling confident, then take a friend with you who you feel comfortable with. Just keep in mind, there may be questions asked that you may not feel comfortable to answer in front of them.
Patients have some responsibility. It's quite nice sometimes, if you're worried about something, to go somewhere and give that responsibility over to somebody else. You don't have to participate, you don't have to think.
I think it can be challenging for some healthcare professionals because it can be quicker to go, I think it's this, do this and it'll go away. So from my perspective, I like to have a structured way of having a conversation so I can get the information and then be able to give good advice about what the options might be.
I would hope that the patient has a knowledge of what their experience is and what they would like as an outcome.
In a lot of cases, patients just want to know what the doctor would do, and that's fine because actually they are an expert.
How about saying, I'll give you the options, the pros and cons, and we'll work through this together.
You need to build a strong relationship, GP and patient. Now, my partner died recently, completely out of the blue, and I couldn't fault the doctor. You know, he knew all my history. Now, would a new doctor have known my history, known our relationship? Not everything is written down.
Ask questions that aren't leading, that are open, that allow patients to express themselves in their own words. There is a skill to it, it's not just a science. You've got to be able to understand it from somebody else's way of expressing something.
For me, it's just a question of taking time to listen to the story and show that you care enough to want to help someone with what they're going through. Active listening.
It's about your body language, smiling, and remembering that no matter how bad your day's been, that you've always got to try and remain positive.
One bit of advice, I don't want them to be a uniform, I want them to be themselves. One thing that does build up my confidence is if it's clear that they are people. I'd probably say that's an important thing.
You have to allow somebody to come to their own solution, still influence it because you have the information they need. Don't just give them the solution.
I would hope that attitudes have changed. I went to see my partner's consultant last week. He's under a heart specialist, and he was brilliant. He gave us time, he listened, he spoke in very understandable and easy terms, and he was very respectful.
Patients should be experts in their body. I don't think that it's 100% like that across the NHS at the moment. But right now, I think there's a sea change.
My one bit of advice would be to let patients take the lead in their healthcare.
Because they're the experts in their body.